Political parties in Nigeria are working around the clock to ensure that the June 3rd deadline set by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for the conduct of all political party primaries are met. The National Working Committee of the ruling All Progressives Congress has adjusted and approved its schedule and activities for the 2023 primary elections. The primaries for governorship and state houses of assembly will now hold on Thursday, the 26th of May, while that of Senate and houses of assembly will hold on the 27th of May. The election appeals for the governorship and House of Reps will come up on 27th of May, while that of Senate and houses of assembly will come up on the 20th. The special convention for the presidential primaries is now scheduled for the 29th and 30th of May 22. Joining us now from Abuja for more insight into the schedule adjustments is Felix Morka, National Publicity Secretary of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Good morning, Felix Morka, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, quickly, questions have been asked on why APC had to adjust its schedule of activities towards the convention. And one issue that was raised is that the APC has had to do that because the party is playing mind games with the major rival party, the People's Democratic Party. Mind games? What exactly is the truth?
Thank you. We're not playing any mind games with any party on the other side. We made the adjustments based on very realistic assessment of where we are in the process of documenting for INEC. As you know, INEC has imposed very strict timelines by which parties must submit lists of their candidates that will participate in the next elections. And on our side, we have a lot of internal processes to sort through before that. So we simply extended to buy just a bit of time to enable us, conclude those steps in a way that guarantees the integrity, if you will, of the information that we give to INEC.
Right. It's very important that you don't fall foul of those INEC guidelines. There have been efforts made by the umbrella body of political parties for INEC to extend that deadline of June 3rd. Where do you stand on that? Would you prefer to see INEC make that extension, or have you acquiesced to INEC's insistence that the show will go on as planned?
Yes. I mean, it's not just the APC, but, I think all of the other parties virtually unanimously did request an extension of time by INEC, which request has yet to be granted. Now, the reason is that the pressure that we feel based on this very stringent timelines is not exclusive to our party. It's shared by other parties as well. So yes, a little bit of extension would be helpful. Even though we can't guarantee that INEC will make that decision, but we're hoping that they would, because if they did, it will not significantly affect the timelines imposed by the Electoral Act. As a matter of fact, the timelines we're dealing with right now are based on INEC's own guidelines, not quite the Electoral Act. So there's a bit of wiggle room if INEC wanted to grant just a couple of weeks, even a month of extension. That would be very helpful to ease some of the pressure that we feel currently. But irrespective, I think that we are working hard to meet those deadlines that INEC has set.
So, how many people have bought presidential and submitted the presidential forms in the first place? The governorship forms too. Let's hear it so we can get some accurate number. Most importantly, I hear you guys are bullying the PDP into getting the Eagle Square. Is that true? You're bullying the PDP for the venue of the Eagle Square. I can see you're laughing already. So tell me all about that.
Well, so which one do you want first? The
Presidential and governorship. Yeah.
Yes. For presidential, I believe we received, or rather, we had 28 aspirants purchase forms for the office of president, of which 25 were returned, were submitted. 3 were not. Now, for governorship, we had 133 forms purchased. I don't have the exact figure of those who have returned for that, but I can definitely find that and provide it to you in due course. But for the office of president, we had 28 and 25 returned.
Okay, so the venue now, we're hearing dates are almost clashing, and you guys want the Eagle Square. Everybody wants the Eagle Square. What's happening as regards that? We're hearing this talk about bullying the PDP off this.
No, we're not in the business of bullying anyone. And I'm quite sure that our friends on the other side will not admit that they were bullied. But the fact of the matter is that, yes, I am aware that the Eagle Square is one of the venues we are looking at. But I cannot confirm at this time whether or not that is actually the venue that we will be using for our presidential convention. But it is one of the venues we're looking at because of its significance and obviously convenience for events like this.
Okay, Felix. The APC is looking at a total of 44,045 delegates. 5 delegates in all the 8,009 wards across the country, 3 delegates in all the 774 local governments for the presidential, primary. But there are problems in the ward congresses already conducted. In Rivers, there was a shootout between supporters of former Minister Rotimi Amechi and Magnus Abe, and counter-allegations about how the committee that came from the party to come and oversee the process were, partial in terms of, their attitude. In Sokoto, there are 2 factions also at war, the Aliyu Wamako faction and the Senator Abubakar Gada faction. In Kano, Dr. Ganduje, the governor, has already anointed his deputy as his successor. I don't know whether anointing a candidate is part of the guidelines of your party, but there are 5 other aspirants. In Benue, there are 12 aspirants. In Oyo, there is division within the party. In Niger State, there are 10 candidates doing battle. And in many of these places, the ward congresses have been simply chaotic. What is the party, your party, going to do about that ahead of the primaries, with the governorship primaries starting on May 26th in 20 states?
Ruben, as you know, political parties are really about interests and representation. Everyone wants to be represented, and everyone has a right to want to be represented as well. But obviously, resort to violence in canvassing those interests are not a part of our recipe, and we discourage that very seriously. And where we have had any sort of tensions, that's regrettable. But the party is not sitting by idle. We are taking steps to engage with some of those key stakeholders. Not just in the regions you mentioned, but everywhere else. Urging them to take steps to rein in their supporters and ensure that the processes go on as freely and as fairly as possible, but also without the kind of violence that we all hate to see. Now, but having said that, I think that this is to be expected anywhere in the world when you engage in this sort of competitive elections, whether internal or external. You're bound to have these flashpoints and tensions. But I think what the party does, going forward is really the key rather than what has occurred already. So I think that, at the headquarters here in Abuja, I think we are well aware and we're monitoring the situation and, again, taking every step to get, our key stakeholders to manage this process as responsibly and as peacefully as possible.
Well, we all hope that shooting in River State is not a sign of more violence to come. But we've all seen the APC aspirants, junketing all over the country, meeting with delegates. But can you take us through the process step by step so that the public has an idea of exactly who the delegates are and the task before them?
Well, essentially, for the purpose of the presidential election, primaries, the delegates consist, essentially of 3 elected national delegates from each of the local governments in the country. They constitute the bulk of the delegates. There are other, levels of delegates, statutory delegates, that also are listed to participate in the primaries, later this month. Now, step by step, we simply gather at the National Convention where we take, all kinds of items before the main act, which is the votes cast for, preferred, candidates, rather aspirants, who, at the end of the day, when they emerge, become candidates. So in a nutshell, that's really, there are a lot of, details in between, but that's principally what we expect ahead of the convention.
Let's talk about zoning. A lot of people are looking and they're beginning to hear things. And the word on the street is that the APC might likely field a candidate from the Northeast. That's the fear and the concern of a lot of people as we speak. And some people are saying it will be bad if they do that because it will be injustice that after 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, that another northerner comes in again to be president. Out of the list, a sea of southern candidates, we've got Ahmed Lawan, which some papers are reporting might just be that candidate that'll get it. He's got backing already. Jules Okalu says he can take 9 aspirants. And both of them can make a coalition and make a deal with Ahmed Lawan. What is going on in your party?
Look, every member of the party has rights to aspire and rights to support those who aspire. That's a freedom we cherish, and it's a constitutional liberty that they have, the freedom to associate with any aspirant or support anyone they choose. But the issue of zoning, quite frankly, I see some of those reports everywhere. I'm a member of the NWC, the National Working Committee of our party, and I have not been privy to any discussions that has resulted in any kind of decisions about zoning. We have not made any decision at this time about zoning. So all of those reports are purely speculative. They do not represent any decisions made by our party because we have yet to make any decision on that. So yes, everyone at this time, because no decision has been made, is free to aspire. But eventually, the party will make that call. And when they do, I think that everyone will be advised as to that position and then, to act accordingly. But it is obviously very legitimate concern that people have, and that's why I think there's a lot of speculation about it. But I think that I just will urge a bit of patience for the party to, come around to making decisions on those matters, and then we can discuss them and explain why certain decisions were made.
Well, 2 quick things. What is the mode of election at the primaries that the party is planning to adopt? You were quoted somewhere that the guidelines have not been, published yet. When would the guidelines come out? Now, second, one newspaper reported today that the APC, after the screening last weekend, has cleared a total of 145 governorship aspirants for the primaries. And that out of 351 persons who bought the form for the senatorial election, that 341 were cleared. Can you confirm those figures?
First of all, we didn't have the number you just mentioned. I don't know if you said 145 or something like that.
145
Ruben,
governorship for the governorship, 145. Senate, 351 applied, 340 scaled the screening exercise, and then the mode of election.
No, first of all, we didn't get 145, if you will, aspirants who purchased our forms. We had just about 133, not 145. So that figure is obviously not very accurate. And at this time, we're still compiling the data of those who were cleared by the various committees. As you can imagine, we had a lot of panels that handled the screening. The reports have been coming in and are being collated. And until that is finalized, it'll be very hard to tell you exactly the specific numbers of those who are cleared. But I'll be more than happy to, and as soon as it's done, we're actually going to publish it. We're required to publish that information. So it's not something that is we're going to leave to speculation. We will be coming out with the specifics of the exact number of those who purchased and those who attended the screening and those who were cleared and those who were absent, because some were actually absent as well, and those who were cleared or not cleared, as the case may be, by this. So we will put out that information hopefully very shortly. And again, it's all part of the housekeeping that we're doing, which we're hoping that we do thoroughly before our primaries. So yes, for the Senate, we had just about 351 figure you gave is actually accurate of those who purchased the forms. But like I said, I can't give you any data about those who were cleared or not cleared because we are actively compiling as I speak.
Yeah, the mode of the primaries. As the party decided on that.
Well, yes, yes, Ruben, you're right. Just at our meeting yesterday, we did clear up a few issues around our guidelines, and I believe that hopefully by today, I expect that by today or tomorrow, in a couple of days, we will have the guidelines published so that all of those details about the mode and the modalities for our primaries, from the House of Assembly through the House of Reps and Senate and governorship to the presidency will be clarified. Again, this is all part of why we and other parties are under quite a lot of pressure because there's a whole lot to do. And this is also a time where, look at the figures we're dealing with of the number of those who have purchased, our forms to contest. It's a lot of, people to meticulously vet and ensure that we are, clearing people who obviously meet the requirements. So it's a whole lot, but we're doing our best in circumstances.
Well, thank you very much, Felix Morka, for joining us on The Morning Show. Thank you very much for your time.